What up, people? We are back at it. Derek here with Bendy Tubes, and we have another fun one. Maybe an unofficial London part 2, or a prequel, or a sequel. But if you know, you know, and we are talking Dividual. So I want to welcome everybody to Bendy Studios, like 3.0 maybe. Picture. It is a blank canvas, and it will be radical soon. But I had to do one before it got to the next phase, so glad to be here, glad to be broadcasting from Bendy 3.0. Also want to give a thanks to our sponsors, 4 Pegs BMX, KAG BMX, and the partnership with Ground Whip. Just really glad to have the support, have the encouragement, so thank you. But back to Dividual, just like London and passing through Level and Gween, Dividual has a few pit stops, and let's jump in the time machine and go back to 1999 with a company called Clayborn. Clayborn was around since the 90s, making primarily race bikes. In 1999, they sponsored a shredder in Scott Powell. Scott's an Ohio ripper and was all over the contest scene. He started in like 1988 in Columbus, Ohio in an AFA jam. So rad, so good for so long. Clayborn sponsored a future legend, but back to Clayborn, the bike company, they made a prototype that was either A, nameless, or B, named the Powell in 1999, designed by a one Mr. Scott, after pitching the idea for a flatland bike. Now, I'm not here to dispute anything. I know I'm wrong sometimes. I know y'all are wrong sometimes. But there is one thing that I got from Scott in researching this, and that is that a frame named the FLS never existed. So, just saying, everything that I'm referencing on BMX Museum, the name might not be right. Reach out to Scott to verify if you don't believe me. Anywho, Clayborn made 10 frames. First one went to Scott, 9 more went to sell, and they were hot and sold out super quick. This is a rad whip. Early mid-school, really unique gusset up front, kind of mid-schoolified hutch angled tube gusset. Down tube intersects the gusset, wishbones out back, 19-inch top tube, 75-degree head tube angle, and that's really all I know about this first generation. Some had a platform, some didn't. Super cool, great looking, late 90s bike. After this run of frames went well, there was another batch of around 10 to 15, but at this point Clayborn and their partnership with Extra Skin fizzled. After the dust settled, Clayborn decided they only wanted to do race bikes. So Scott worked out a deal with the owner of Clayborn to A, buy out the second batch of frames, and B, be able to utilize the manufacturer out of Oceanside, California to keep making bikes. He sold that second batch under the name Powell, and then made third and fourth batches with minor tweaks in the manufacturing and design process, and that's when Powell bikes really got going. Rolling forward, Scott made the drive to York, PA to hang out with them plywood hoods, and he got his frame between the leg pieces of a one Kevin Jones, and Kevin was jazzed on it. So in 2000, Scott Powell partnered with Kevin Jones to make Dividual. Going back to our Whirlybird previous company, London, Kevin was a part of Level and then partnered in getting this company going in 2000. Now, first of all, there was this. Is this a polecat? It's a blend of a Powell and Clayborn up front with what would be their next frame on back, like the brace and Coldham brace. But before we get there, let's talk the name polecat. Y'all, polecat is out of the bag. It's not a real thing. There was never a frame named the polecat. I've seen some inside jokes insinuating things, but officially, this is not a polecat. Now, people call it that. That's fine. You can call it what you want, but that's not what it's named. So when you see a polecat, it's really a Dividual. So whenever I said that Scott was tinkering with those third and fourth batches, this is what you got. So this is progress over that Powell original frame and the Clayborn before that. Huge platform, wishbones out back, top tube pierced by the seat tube, super rare, early taste of things to come. Next, the most popular Dividual frame, the Embrace in Cold Embrace, dropped around 02 and 03. The difference between the two, the Brace doesn't have the platform and the Cold Embrace does. I hope I got that right. I'm going to talk about these two pretty interchangeably now because they are a monolith of mid-schoolery. Huge gap tube gusset up front, probably the biggest ever. It runs parallel with the top tube, making a freaking crap ton of space up front. Super similar to the London South Bank because Chase G helped design the Dividual, Embrace and Cold Embrace, and that was kind of the trend at the time. Dims on this beauty, 19-inch top tube, 1375 chainstay, 75-degree head tube angle. Now this bike is pretty dang rare. You'll find a couple on BMX Museum. You can probably search and find a couple on Facebook. And it even looks like Mallow at PIR made a custom one in 2013, and my guy Zach, featured in Hub Jam Video 2, made another recreation very recently, so check that out. Also, Dividual made some bits as well. A sprocket, some bars that maybe Kevin sold under the table. I don't know, that's what I heard. But finally, some shredders absolutely rode for Dividual. Not only Scott and Kevin, obviously, but Chase G flossed one of these bad boys too. Here's some pictures of him doing his thing on that. Awesome. Awesome frame, iconic, legendary frame. So Dividual ran from the early 2000s to maybe 3 or 4. Once that closed up, that didn't stop Scott. That dude is a jack of all trades, and he was also in the skate park business. 95, he had a skate park called Chenga with an indoor flat spot so him and his buddy could ride. Then he got Chenga 2 in like 02, then Chenga 57 in 06. That closed. He's still got Chenga 2, still got an indoor flat spot to ride. Go check it out when you're in the Cleveland area. And Scott has kept riding. Now in 2010, I really want to highlight that this is when he became a mad scientist. As a part of this phase, I was excited to learn that Scott got a super sick custom bike made from MTF Mountaintop Fabrication that is all things mid-school. Mix of twin top tubes, bent down tubes, gusset, just rad combo of styles. 19-inch top tube, 75-degree head tube angle, 71-degree seat tube angle, 1325 chainstay. Clearly the twin top tubes remind us of Torker and the Old Master and Morales. Just cross-generational bit of kit there. Now this bike is cool. Certified mid-school for sure, but the mad scientist really got into his groove with all the bits that he has done with these frames. Number one, these experiments include, but aren't limited to, a front wheel unicycle setup, where you can see him pedaling a hitchhiker here and other super rad pivoting front wheel tricks. Number two, a back wheel unicycle setup that he spins like a freaking blender, not to be confused with the actual trick called a blender. Number three, a fixed gear setup that appears to be one of those older Dividual frames and just super cool, like kind of like what Trevor did back in the 90s and 2000. Fixed gear flatland is rad. And finally, a flatland mountain bike. I think it's like 24, 26-inch root wheels. First generation was this KAG RIP looking thing. Second generation resembles the Powell custom from MTF. So sick. And that big bike has these cool forks that basically have a little built-in standing platform. Love the experimental nature of his riding and development. And it's so cool to see Scott tinkering with all this. So next time you're in Cleveland, swing by Chenga and see if you can check out one of these whips. And if you're like, oh my gosh, I want that Powell frame, that is so sick, where can I get one? There is a limited release out that was highlighted on Flat Matters. There were only 25 made. I could be too late to this because it's taken me a while to record this. But Scott, I'm so glad you are back in the game. Specs are shown here on the picture. Check it out. See if you can get one. So rad. And that's it. Clayborn, Powell, Dividual, and Powell once again from one bad mamma jamma and Scott Powell being the through line to all of them. Scott, keep on riding, brother. Derek, Bendy Tubes. Also, if you want to get a various vibes of Flatland shirt, hit me up on BMX Museum, user DTN6061. Got a few left over from the Huff Jam. Check it out. All the rad vibes, all the rad silhouettes of Flatland bikes through the generations.